Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Courtney King, and today's short talk is going to be about red flags in a job interview. My previous video, if you haven't seen it, was about how to ace your first job interview in tech. This one is going to be about how to identify a company that you don't even want to work for based on red flags that are in the interview process. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So you have landed an interview, you've done the hard work, you're there, you're talking to the person, and things pop up that make you feel weird in your brain or in your stomach, and you don't know whether or not these are actual red flags or you're just having anxiety. These things are red flags. So if the person that you're interviewing doesn't know what the details of the job are that you're interviewing for, huge red flag. Or if it seems like there's some sort of bait and switch on the role. What I mean is, if you have followed the advice from my previous video, you have read the job posting itself thoroughly. You understand what the job is requiring of you and what your responsibilities will be once you start the role. If it seems like there's some sort of bait and switch on those things, you get on the phone and now they're describing the role in a way that does not align with what is in the job posting, that's a red flag, and you should feel comfortable asking about those discrepancies, right? Don't feel shy here. If they are saying things about the role that just don't align with what was written in the job posting or directly at odds with what was written in the job posting, ask about it. This is a huge red flag. You should not feel like you are being bait and switched. The job that they're hiring for in the job posting should be the job that they're hiring for once you get on that interview. And if not, I do think you have a little bit of a problem on your hands. But in general, if the interviewer doesn't, they're like they don't really know what the job is going to be doing. It's like very vague. They're like, I don't know, could be this, could be that. That's not good. And you should try and avoid that. This is more about the process. If there's any ghosting of interviews, like you guys set up a time, you set up a Zoom call, you set up a time to talk on the phone, and then that person ghosts you, that's a red flag. It could be a one-off. Maybe something weird happened. Maybe the interviewer had something in their personal life pop up, right? But if there's repeated ghosting within this process, that is a huge red flag. This is probably not a job you want. It's probably not a company that you want to work for. That's like totally unprofessional. And they should be respectful of your time, just like you're being respectful of theirs. So if there's repeated ghosting or sort of like an unreasonable amount of constant last minute rescheduling of your interviews, that's also a red flag. It just gives the impression that they're just not super organized, right? The process may have some oddities in it, but it should be relatively organized. It should be relatively smooth, right? This should be a company that knows how to just handle a simple interview process, especially if this is for an entry-level role. There should not be a lot of hiccups and weirdness and like absurd things that show up during the process. Nothing's perfect. People are going to make mistakes. So I'm not saying that you should bail at the first time of a mistake, but if things just feel super disorganized, that is a red flag. So this next one is kind of a catch-22. The first part of it is about long drawn-out interview processes. So this one is one where I would say that is a red flag. However, if you're trying to get your first job in tech, if you're trying to make the transition, the reality is a lot of tech companies have long, drawn-out, unnecessarily complicated interview processes. It should not be that way, but unfortunately it is that way. If this job is important to you and you don't see any other red flags, I would say put up with the long drawn out process. But one thing that I would keep my eye out for, this is going to be more for maybe roles that require job experience or a degree. If you are coming to tech with previous experience or even a whole previous career, this one might be more relevant to you. If there's a really lengthy project or presentation involved in the process. So on the technical side, sometimes they will make you do coding exercises just to prove that you have the skills. I really don't think that that's problematic. You do have to prove that you know how to do that. If they're asking you to do extensive work, hours and hours of work for free, right? To hand them a project or to write them a paper or to put together a really long, detailed presentation. I once had a company ask me to create a slide deck, learn their software, and then pitch that software to an existing customer of the company, but also try and open a new deal for someone else at that. It was like very complicated and also not related to the role that I was doing. I'm not in sales, so I shouldn't be asked to do like a sales demo presentation. And they were asking me to do a very lengthy, involved, and also make a slide deck that was like 10, 12 pages. It took me hours. And, you know, if I could go back at the time, I had enough options that I should have just declined it, but I did it anyway. I don't recommend that. They should not be asking you to do hours and hours of work for free. It's a red flag. Also, if they're asking you to solve a business problem of theirs, like, hey, we have this issue with customers, or what would you do in this situation? And you give them a report or presentation, that's essentially your intellectual property, right? Those ideas, those words, that content belongs to you. And you give them that intellectual property and then they just never bring it up again, right? It's like, is this project really necessary for you to get the role hired, or are you just trying to source ideas from people out there? Guys, just be aware of this one. This one is going to range. There's going to be times where it's reasonable, right? If you are trying to get a job like a customer success manager or like in sales that requires presentation skills, it's not abnormal for them to ask you to do a small presentation, but it should be short. It should be concise. It should not take you days and days to put this together. That's a red flag. If the company or the interviewer is disrespectful about anyone, if the interviewer is being disrespectful about other companies, about their company, about their leadership, about their coworkers, about other people in the industry, that's a huge red flag, right? That's toxic. That's like going on a first date and the person just talks crap about a bunch of people in their life that you've never met before. That would be a red flag. You're like, why are you talking to me about this? Keep it to yourself. That's a huge one, guys. Being disrespectful, that's a sign that toxicity is accepted and normalized in that company. If the interviewer feels comfortable enough to bring it up to a candidate on a job interview, that they're hoping that this candidate will want to work for them, and they spend time complaining about people or other companies, that's not good. That is not a green flag. I'll put it that way. And then the last one that is huge. If they are not sharing compensation information, this could be pay or it could be benefits. If they tell you that they don't have that information, that's a red flag. They absolutely have it. If they tell you that they don't know how much the role pays, that's a huge red flag. They should absolutely know. If they tell you that they don't really have a salary range, like, what would you like to get paid? We don't really have a range for this role, so what would you like to get paid? Obviously, they're trying to use a negotiation tactic where they fish what your answer is, and then they try not to pay you a dime over that. There's a salary range for the role, right? If you go in there and you ask for $500,000 a year for an entry-level role, they're going to deny you and think that that's insane because that's not within the salary range for the role. So any employer who tries to claim that they don't have a salary range for the role, unfortunately, is just lying. And they're trying to use a bad, like, stonewalling negotiation tactic. Do not fall for that. And that is a huge red flag. For them to be shady around pay and around benefits, that's just a huge red flag. They should absolutely know how much the job pays, right? There's typically going to be a range from this amount to this amount. Are you aligned with that? It should be a really straightforward conversation. That conversation should not be tense or awkward. There used to be a time where recruiters were encouraged to never speak about what the actual pay is, again, so they could figure out what you want to be paid and then not pay you more than that. Those times have kind of changed. That is a relatively old-fashioned way for recruiters to operate. It is much more common now for companies to just be transparent. You'll notice that in a lot of job postings, the salary range is just right there. And honestly, a company that you want to work for is just going to be open about the salary range and the benefits either on their website or on the job posting, wherever you find it, whether that's LinkedIn or Glassdoor or Indeed, wherever. But then sometimes they don't put it in the job posting. When you get on the phone, you are welcome to ask if they have not brought it up. In fact, I think you should ask if they haven't brought it up. You just want to confirm what the compensation is. If they give you any sort of weirdness around it, if it seems like they're trying to like dodge the question or change the subject, or if they try to flip it back on you, like you say, so can I just confirm what the salary range is for the role? And they're like, well, how much would you like to get paid for the role? That's a red flag. I'm not telling you whether you should answer the question or not answer the question. I don't think that you should be playing like hide and seek with recruiters, but it is a red flag. That information should be transparent. It's 2023. Many states have already mandated that you have to be transparent about salaries in those states, Colorado and California for sure. But any advice that I would give anyone, especially for that first interview, which is likely going to be a screening interview and an opportunity to find out whether you're aligned with this company and whether this company is aligned with you, you're going to need to talk about pay and you're going to need to talk about benefits, and they should just be open about that stuff. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Just wanted to share those tips with you. All of us have had the experience of applying, and then you get an interview and you're so excited for the interview. And then as you're listening to the person interview you and you're listening to them talk, you're like, do I even want this job? That comes up a lot. And you don't want to accept a job with a company that's just going to be toxic. So that's what I'm trying to help you avoid. I hope this provided value. Please, if you have not already, like and subscribe. Share this video with people that you think may help. I'm trying to help people level up their careers, achieve personal growth in a way that is easy and fast. So share this with people that you think could benefit from it. And look out for more content coming out in the next couple days, as always. Other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.